What's poppin', players? Welcome back to the Two Penny Gamescast, episode 117. I'm your host, Tavin Bothel, here with my good friend and co-host, Connor Elliott. Say hello to the people, Connor.
Hi.
Hello. Connor, how have you been this last week, my friend?
Well, good. I'm alive. There you go. That's the positive.
Hey, that's better than some. What a ringing endorsement, bro.
Some people, if you didn't know, aren't alive right now.
That's true. That happens. Some people not breathing this week.
Yeah,
Fucking
pretty good.
Christ. All right. Well, that's
How you been doing?
I've been doing okay, man. I've been busy. I've been doing just a lot of schoolwork, a lot of classwork, and then working my way through the Quarry. So keep an eye out for the end of this podcast episode or the breakout review that went up yesterday for the Quarry. Yeah, I'll get into that a little later on. But ladies and gentlemen, if you didn't know, this is the Two Penny Gamescast, in which me and Connor, we come to you every week and we give you the new news on the video game industry. We each come to you with two topics, 2 pennies, if you will, and we give you our 2 cents on them. Now, this week is a bit of a deeper week, ladies and gentlemen. Now, as long-term listeners know, excuse me.
Bless you.
Excuse me. So sorry. We love video games. We love the video game playing and all that. We love to keep it light and have fun and all that stuff. But sometimes things aren't fun. Sometimes we got to talk about some real stuff and the people who make video games and how we want to focus on them first to make sure everything's doing okay and all right out here in this industry that we love so much. So we've actually got 2 stories today. The first 2 stories are going to be about the people and how some stuff maybe isn't going so well for them right now. So to start out real quick, first topic of the day, Connor, your first penny of the day. Bayonetta actor asks fans to boycott video game over payroll. The English actor who stars in the hit Bayonetta video... Oh, I'm sorry. This is a Guardian article by Alex Hearn. The English actor who stars in the hit Bayonetta video game series has asked fans not to buy the latest release in the franchise after revealing that she was offered just $4,000 American to reprise the role. In an emotional series of videos posted to social media, Helena Taylor, who voiced the title character of Bayonetta, said she had been replaced in the forthcoming 3rd game in the series because she was proposed fees because this is a typo here. Because the proposed fee was an insult. Quote, the Bayonetta franchise made an approximated $450 million, Taylor said, and that's not including merchandise. As an actor, I trained for a total of 7.5 years, 3 years at the London Academy of Music and Dramatic Arts with voice coach Barbara Berkeley, and 4.5 years with the legendary Larry Moss in Los Angeles. And what did they think this was worth? What did they offer to pay me? The final offer to do the whole game as a buyout flat rate was $4,000. This is an insult to me. The amount of time I took to work on my talent and everything I have given to this game and the fans. I am asking fans to boycott this game and instead spend the money that you would have spent on this game, donate it to charity, end quote. Neither Nintendo, which is publishing the forthcoming 3rd game in the series, nor Platinum Games, which develops the titles, has responded to Taylor's allegations. In a Twitter post sent shortly after Taylor's allegations, Hideki Kamiya, the auteur developer behind the series, wrote, quote, sad and deplorable about the attitude of untruth. That's what all I can tell now. Hideki did not respond to a query about whether he was directly disputing Taylor's claims, but later tweeted implying that he had blocked so many people he was frozen out of his Twitter account. In the Bayonetta series, the title character, a highly sexual... Okay, we don't need to talk about Bayonetta, but in the 3rd edition released later this month, this title will be taken over by veteran voice actor Jennifer Hale. Taylor wished Hale all the best, but added, quote, she has no right to say she's the voice of Bayonetta. I created that voice. Okay, Connor. Thoughts? Break it down for us, buddy. Where are we at here with this one?
Well, it's not very surprising that voice actors, not only in the video game industry, but in the anime industry as well, English voice actors in general, can get really screwed over for their work, whether it's being required to work really long hours for very small amounts of pay, sometimes no pay at all, with promises of getting you into the industry and whatnot. It's an issue that's seldom talked about because it's not really one of the big. It is obviously a big aspect of video games. You need good voice acting, or you should strive to get good voice acting. But that's not the things people think about specifically when it comes to issues in the video game industry. So it's something that kind of goes by the wayside. So while I can kind of question maybe how entitled she is to the voice of Bayonetta, considering that pretty much anybody can do a voice. It's just different takes on a character's voice. So maybe a little bit too much of an underhanded comment to hail. But other than that, I think she's pretty justified in being upset in the way that she is, especially considering that it's Bayonetta. It's a big gaming franchise, makes millions of dollars, as she said, sells merch, and she was the face of it. Bayonetta has become a very iconic character in many people's minds. And, even though the gameplay is all good, a lot of what people talk about when it comes to Bayonetta and when they fawn over it is, other than the gameplay, which obviously people still like, is Bayonetta herself, which was made as popular as she was because of Helena's voice. And now she can't voice it anymore. Now, I understand things can go through, reasonable things to prevent someone from going back and doing another role. Maybe even if they offered her a reasonable price, she still would have been upset and this would have all gone downhill. But that's not what happened. What ended up happening was she was offered a small amount of money for a big role and didn't get it. And didn't want to take that insult, especially for how much she's done for this character. Because Bayonetta, her English voice actress, is the marketing of the game. Whenever you would see it in the big E3 shows and the big, showcases that they did, it was the English voice actor that they went with, her. So,
granted, we're watching and listening to American showcases.
Yeah, but generally that's how they market that character. Most places in the world, they're not using the Japanese voice for Europe. They're not using it for, I'm assuming, South America. I'm assuming they're usually
English is a more popular language than Japanese. Yes.
Yeah, exactly. So I feel she's more entitled to that character and to be better paid, especially considering how much money that game makes. So I think this is it's seeming like it's turning out for a win for voice actors because as I said before, it's not something people really focus on a lot. These stories don't really break people getting underpaid for their work. So to actually see there being some kind of movement on it, which is to say fans getting upset at the creator, the vice president of Platinum Games, and then possibly forcing him off Twitter. Who knows what the deal is with that? That just happened fairly recently. But this is more than any other movement you get on this kind of issue. So it's something that I think should be pushed and focused on a lot more. And hopefully a greater awareness of how voice acting is treated in the industry will lead maybe people, liking it more. Paying attention to how they pay their voice actors more. And if they were to lose money based off people boycotting the game as a result of this, I say that's fine. You probably
in general, I agree with you. Mm-hmm. In general, I agree with you. One, she should have been paid more. She should be given the respect and the wages that she deserves. For the third title of this game, $4,000 for a project that takes months, if not years, of work for her is ridiculous. It's not a livable wage at all, and she absolutely should be given a livable wage. Where I disagree with you is this individual actor's impact on the character and the impact the character has had on pop culture. But that's irrelevant. The real story is she is not being treated the way she should for all this work that she's done. And even though she is the original voice and the creator of the voice, and a lot of that persona and a lot of that personality comes from that, I think the voice is arguably one of the least interesting things about Bayonetta. The writing, the style, the charisma, the animations, the character designs, the character actions are all done by things outside of the actor, and I think that's what made Bayonetta popular, not the voice. Because the voice, no disrespect to Taylor here, the voice just kind of sounds like a confident, charismatic British woman. Like, I think there's a bajillion actors who could have done what she did. And also, I'll Bayonetta as a franchise is not a character heavy like franchises. This isn't like Troy Baker in The Last of Us. This isn't like I mean, shoot, even Nolan North in Uncharted has more impact and gave more to that character than I would argue this specific instance of a character. So yeah, the character is beloved, but like, for what reasons are the things that I would quantify. But absolutely, she should be paid her due, and she should be making more off of every game after each game because she's provided those talents. And if they choose to, if the developer or the publisher or whoever, the director chooses to go a different way, then they go a different way. They could have given her a shitty check or a shitty offer on purpose so that she would bow out, because it would play better for her play better for them to make it seem like, oh, she bowed out of her own free will. We didn't force her out or anything like that, because this story evokes previous stories. You think of, David Hayter in Solid Snake and how he was forced to audition for the role of Snake every game, and eventually was just booted out for a bigger franchise name. And I hate to tell you, Helena Taylor, Jennifer Hale is a bigger name than you. It is a more impactful name. I'm more interested in hearing Jennifer Hale's take on Bayonetta than I am hearing your third take on Bayonetta, because I feel like we're going to get pretty much the same. I could be wrong. I only played the first game. But that's kind of how I feel. Her little backhanded comment at Hale's expense, I think, is ridiculous. Her saying that Hale has no right to say she's the voice of Bayonetta. She's voicing Bayonetta. Now, you and I talked beforehand that it seems like, fans are outcrying and going in. There was some backlash against Jennifer Hale. I'm sure Jennifer Hale had no idea any of this happened.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say, based off a Twitter post, so take it from what you will, there were her liking comments on, the variety of articles, and I don't know where the comments were originating from, but they were basically saying, oh, Jennifer Hale, she probably had no clue that all of this was going down behind the scenes, and she was liking those tweets. So it does seem very likely that she
can't outwardly say anything about it. That we're in the press run for this game. If she says something, then that has the potential to damage the IP, and then Nintendo sues her, and she doesn't want to deal with that. So she's going to be quiet for this length of time. But like her saying she's not the voice of Bayonetta, that's like saying Christopher Judge isn't the voice of Kratos.
Yeah, it's. I get that she's upset. I mean, it's very obviously something that's justified to be angry about. But as you said, you just need to voice the character to say that you're the voice of that character, as long as you voice them in some format. That's it.
And pretty simple. It's well within Taylor's right to ask fans to boycott the game, and if the fans choose to do so, that is their right as well. In fact, go ahead, because you should treat people well. You should treat people right, and she's not being treated right. My opinion is when we're talking about video games, more than likely, the voice talent is not why we play a video game. I don't think having a big wig actor in a video game has ever made a video game sell more or less.
No.
You think I don't know, Liam Neeson in Fallout 3. Like, why the fuck did that happen? You think of, even in the game I just played, The Quarry, Supermassive games have always used big name actors that, I don't think that's doing anything for your sales, because this is video games. The game sells things. The dev studio sells things. The game director sells things. The voice talent doesn't. Now, it might be like a little plus, if I see, if I see Nolan North is attached to a new game, my ears do perk up, and I go, oh, well, what's this? And I check it out. But I'm not going to buy the game because of Nolan North. I'm not going to buy the game because of Laura Bailey. I'm not going to buy the game because of Troy Baker. I'm going to buy the game if the game looks good, or if it's from a dev studio that I trust, or, outside reasons of that. The voice talent is just a plus on top of that. So I think there's a little bit of coming, as someone who is studying acting myself, I I just think there's a little bit of entitlement with actors, and not just this story. It happens all the time. And their impact in this industry. You know, I think of back in, Connor, what year was it? Was it 2016? It must have been, because it was when Nolan North won for Nathan Drake for Uncharted 4. So it must have been like 2016, 2017, where the actors were striking. Because they wanted residuals from games, and it kind of went nowhere. Like, there's a bigger argument for animation and cartoons and movies and TV shows like that. There's a bigger argument there, but when you're an actor in a video game, your percentage of your efforts on the character are minimized. Because you're not in control of the animations. You're not in control of the body language. You're not in control of the facials. There are certain examples where you as an actor have more input. You look at Naughty Dog games of the past 15 years. You look at what Supermassive Games is doing. What is David Cage's studio?
Quantic Dream.
You look at Quantic Dream. You know, those actors have a little more influence. But overall, like, what did Mark Meer give to the voice of Shepard that BioWare didn't also give? You know, it gets messy, it gets tricky very quickly. So I just think I think this is an example of entitlement. However, $4,000 is an insult to her talent.
Mm-hmm. Which is the big core of the story.
That's the big core of the story.
All other opinionated things aside, because I would still argue that the character of Bayonetta was the main thing that was shown with that game. Because I'm be honest, I haven't really seen that much in terms of in the social sphere and in the marketing sphere gameplay from Bayonetta as much as, you know, pictures of Bayonetta, of her, you know, in cutscenes, just maybe doing some cool things, but things that are, you know, really cool to her character are accentuated by her voice, which was always used. A lot of the stuff I see from it was her voice.
Yeah, but I would argue those trailers would have the exact same effect on you if you took the voice out, or if you used a different voice. Those trailers have the exact same effect on you as the gamer. Like, you as the voice actor are not selling games, which is kind of a direct line as to why they pay voice actors, you know, so much less than you would see in Hollywood, because the voice actor doesn't put butts in seats. Know what I mean?
Yeah, I get what you're saying, but I do think it also, you know, if you have someone who's a good voice actor and lends a lot to the role, compare that to someone that doesn't do that, that just completely drags down the character. You can have an extremely well-written character. Like, let's take Last of Us, since that's kind of the easiest example to do.
I think, yeah, Troy Baker's effect on Joel in The Last of Us is something to speak on. I just don't think that's the case here, because Bayonetta isn't that type of character.
She's not that type of character, but I think the effect is generally received the same, relatively the same way. I would say it definitely in The Last of Us cases, that's more important because it is such a narrative storytelling. But I see those as being, you know, at the end of the day, kind of hard to compare in a you know, statistical, or, you know, it's hard to measure those two in any meaningful way other than just your own preference of what character you like more and how they add it to the character and the game as a whole.
Fair.
But Fair. Yeah, you know, like I said, this is all opinionated. Core of it is
1,000%. And don't get me wrong, just because I'm critiquing sort of her thing on this, and I can't like diminish her because she cares. She cares, and that's important.
Obviously,
you know, she just wants, you know, she's emotional about it. She's tied to this role. If I were the one in charge, yeah, pay her the rate that she deserves, and have her voice this character that she gave identity to, or that she helped give identity to in what made us millions of dollars. Yes, absolutely. And I'm almost like, I'm willing to bet my car they gave Jennifer Hale a better check than they gave Helena Taylor.
You know? Especially because the name of Jennifer Hale is more well known. That also adds to her.
And you never know, behind the scenes, maybe they didn't like working with Taylor. Or maybe they, for whatever reason, wanted to go in a different direction. You don't know. What we do know is that she was given an offer that was not up to par with what she feels her voice talent is worth, And I would agree with that because $4,000 for a project that takes months of work, no, absolutely not. That's not okay.
Yeah.
So yeah, and especially when you're a franchise that isn't small. It's not a small franchise. Like it's done numbers. It's arguably like Nintendo's marquee new IP from the last decade. Like it's that in Splatoon. And Splatoon doesn't have a character to hide behind. Bayonetta does. So if this was like an Ink Kid voice actor was coming out and saying this, then I'd be like, all right, well, but like you're an Ink Kid. This is Bayonetta, so they do have more credence than that.
Yeah.
But you know what I mean? Anyways.
Yeah, I get it. Now the last point, I'll leave it at this. For I haven't really seen many people defending Platinum Games and all this. People have generally taken Taylor's side. But I'm assuming there are people out there that think that Platinum Games is in the right for some reason. And while there are two sides to every story, Kamiya did react by just leaving Twitter. If there was some valid, good reason that they had for rejecting it, they could have just come out and said it reasonably, and yet they acted all authentic.
Yeah, you can't be like, that's a lie, and then like get mad and leave and delete your Twitter because everyone else is like, well, given the stuff we have, like the information we have, it doesn't sound like she's lying. And I don't think she's lying. I think she's telling the truth. I think she was given a shitty deal, and she stood up for herself and said, no, I'm worth more than that.
Yeah.
So, I mean, and props to her for doing that, because that's a hard thing to do.
Yeah, I mean, it may not look good on her resume later on when they find out that that's what she did if she tries to go and voice in other games. She put herself out there to do it. It wasn't an easy, simple thing.
You are now no longer like a clean slate. You have, there is even though I would argue she's not the source of the problematic moment, there is now a problematic moment on her career. Anybody who Googles her name is going to see this now.
Which could hurt future deals.
At the same time, that could be seen as attractive. This is an actor who knows what they're worth. And we can see her back catalog and see that she has talent and see that she's done a lot. So now, we know we're dealing with someone who cares, or who is worth the dollar we're giving them. It's there's a lot of factors at play.
Yeah.
So
there really is.
But good on you, Helena, for standing up for yourself. Absolutely. And I hope to see more, and I hope that there is more just support for the arts and this specific side of the arts in the future. Moving on. Story number 2. Remember, everybody, 2 back-to-backs of not great stuff here going on. Activision Blizzard receives another sexual harassment lawsuit. This is by Ryan Dinsdale over at IGN. Activision Blizzard has received another sexual harassment lawsuit that also alleges sexual battery, failure to prevent harassment, gender discrimination, and intentional infliction of emotional distress. As reported by Daily Mail, a plaintiff identified only as Jane Doe filed the lawsuit with the Los Angeles Superior Court that claimed, quote, Activision Blizzard is a massive video game company with a massive sexual harassment problem. Doe is seeking an undisclosed amount of compensation, punitive damages, and the removal of CEO Bobby Kotick, who was previously accused, of knowing about but not reporting sexual harassment allegations at Activision Blizzard. The lawsuit is against both Blizzard itself, which is currently locked in a number of other lawsuits alleging sexual harassment, and a former employee, Miguel Vega, the once manager of Doe, who was allegedly fired a month after she reported him to management. Doe met Vega in 2009 or 2010 before she worked at Activision Blizzard, and the pair formed a virtual friendship in which Doe sent, quote, compromising photos of herself, something that she now regrets, according to the lawsuit. This relationship ended in 2011, however, as Doe met her future husband. The lawsuit states that Vega helped Doe get independent contractor work at Activision Blizzard in 2016, and she later started full-time at the company in 2020. Vega allegedly groped and attempted to kiss Doe, telling her, quote, one day you'll give in, and also belittled, insulted, and threatened to blackmail her with the compromising photos. Quote, he never missed an opportunity to make her feel small, the lawsuit states, adding that Doe reported the blackmail threats and that Vega was fired the next month. The lawsuit The lawsuit alleges this wasn't enough, however, claiming that Activision Blizzard ratified Vega's conduct by not taking more immediate and corrective action. And then as an update, Activision Blizzard sent over a statement regarding the lawsuit. Quote, "We take all employee concerns seriously. When the plaintiff reported her concerns, we immediately opened an investigation, and Mr. Vega was terminated within 10 days. We have no tolerance for this kind of misconduct." What?
Lie. I heard it.
Lie. We got you. We found one. It's the latest in a long line of allegations that began with a lawsuit filed by the state of California accusing Activision Blizzard of fostering a frat boy culture. Another in a long line of suits, and unfortunately, we just have to keep talking about it because it's important that we do. It's important that we treat these people right, and it's important that when things go wrong, because things go wrong, that we address it and make it right for those who are affected negatively by these situations. First off, props to Jane Doe. This is your second penny, by the way, Connor. You don't get the fun ones. You get the boring. You get not the boring. Excuse me. You get the sad ones. You get the sad ones. Activision Blizzard clearly a place of work that has just been awful to its employees. And I think this Jane Doe is absolutely right in making sure that she's compensated for the mental anguish that she had to go through, and the physical assault that she had to experience.
Yeah.
Though it's nice to see that, Vega was fired and that, her assaulter, met consequences, but was it too little too late? That's up for the courts really to decide. And based on the mountain of allegations that have just risen up against Activision Blizzard over the last year and a half, 2 years now, almost year and a half at this point, right? Year and a half. Yeah. That it's just important that we just continuously keep making note of it, keep taking those bookmarks. What is the word I'm looking for? Anyways, it's just important that we continuously cover each time this comes up and what the results are of it, and note that we are making progress. It's small and it's slow, but it's happening. And you and I keep going back and forth and saying, man, hopefully things get better when Xbox is in charge, but of course we'll have to see.
It's not a surprising story, unfortunately. I mean, like, those issues that happened, even though they were brought to light, weren't solved. It didn't all of a sudden just pop up in smoke and disappear.
It's still happening.
So, while a sad story is not a surprising one, and it's, as you said, that's why it needs to be focused on a lot. I keep hedging my bets with Microsoft, because it's to me, it's either that or just the company shouldn't exist. I know it has jobs, but to bring so much pain,
it's a lot of jobs, man. That's Call of Duty. That's Overwatch.
It's a lot.
That's Diablo. That's a lot.
Yeah, I know, but if it comes at the cost of other people's happiness, just for other people's job, which they could find more ultimately, I think that matters a lot more, because people can face these traumatic experiences and then have them affect their entire lives. And one of the people in the when the original story broke, killed herself, presumably as a result of these things. So those jobs, as important as they are, kind of start falling by the wayside when you have issues like that, and ones that just never get solved. It just goes on and on and on. Which is why, like I said, I'm not wanting to just close down Activision Blizzard because of the jobs. And Microsoft is the only people that can change things. So I just want Microsoft to deal with this in a human manner, not just sweep it under the rug like they did for so many years. It's just stupid.
I mean, I'm with you. I agree. Yeah, it's heartbreaking. Every time one of these stories comes out, it's like, God fucking damn it. Why can't we get this right? But you have to remember, this is us getting it right, is when these stories break and when these things happen, and when pieces of shit like this lose their jobs. Like, this is getting it right. It's just, it takes so long, and it takes such an emotional toll on everybody until it eventually comes back around, and we we can stand by these dev studios and say, no, yeah, this represents the type of ethos we want as a culture.
But
Yeah.
you know, yeah, just keep focusing on them. Bring them every single time.
Absolutely. Drag
That's all
them
we
out.
can do.
Make sure they think every time a Call of Duty launches, you got to be like, hey, this is no cool. Overwatch 2's just released, and everybody's talking about it, but we got to remember that this is a shitty ass place to work.
Yeah,
And it does not treat its people well, and we need to remember that.
Yeah, I know one thing that's annoyed me in that matter. Now, I'm not ragging on everybody or even most people that play Overwatch 2, because even despite these bad things that happen, it's ultimately your decision if you still want to play them. Because regardless of the bad people that are there, most of them, I would assume, are good. Most of them are just people trying to do their job. And this is how they make money. By these games selling, by these games being played. I guess not selling in Overwatch 2's cases, but you get the picture.
Well, just turning it on profits them.
Yeah,
Like,
exactly.
not directly, but it increases their numbers, and the higher the numbers, the more they boast, and then more people will come in, and then more people are willing to spend money on the microtransactions in the game, et cetera, et cetera. It goes on and on and on.
Yeah, exactly. And despite all the allegations and that, people playing the game, it's your choice ultimately. I'm not going to rag on you for it. I'm personally not going to play it at all because
Same.
of what Activision Blizzard has done. But the thing that annoys me is some of the I can't really name any because I don't really know any of them. People who covered the Overwatch Activision Blizzard stuff and then just kind of hampered on it. But when Overwatch 2 came out, even though you see a lot of people still call out for how many bad things they've done in the past and justifying that to not play the game. Some people just kind of turn their head away and just play it anyway. Like they focus on bad issues. They talk about it, but when it comes time to actually do any semblance of work to not support that, they just play the game without a second thought.
And it's really
very
like
annoying.
we could make we're small time. Like playing games like Overwatch and Call of Duty and things like that, and putting out let's plays or reviews of these games or talking about them could really help us because, like it or not, they drive in a lot of traffic and they drive clicks. Like people want to watch you play those things, but at least when it comes to the two of us, like it feels dirty to do so. Like I just don't. I don't want to spend $70 on Call of Duty this year because it just doesn't feel good. On top of the fact that I've burnt out of that franchise a long time ago, but if I wanted to make it for content's sake, it just wouldn't feel right. Like I just don't. It feels dirty. I just don't like it. So
yeah,
I would rather sit here and be like, you know what? No, I just can't. I can't bring myself to talk about that game or entertain that game because it just doesn't feel right.
it's icky sticky. It is.
Why did you have to say it like that? Moving on, Connor. Jesus, icky sticky. Connor, let's talk about.
Did it have connotations I'm not aware of?
I don't know. It sounds dirty. Let's move on to topic number 3. My first penny of the day. Dumb money. Sony buys rights to movie about the GameStop stock market saga. Seth Rogan and Paul Dano will stars by Ryan Leston over at IGN. The GameStop saga is coming to the big screen as Dumb Money, and Sony just bought it. According to Deadline, Sony Pictures has secured the rights to Dumb Money, the upcoming GameStop movie starring Seth Rogen, Paul Dano, Sebastian Stan, Pete Davidson, and Shailene Woodley. What a cast.
Right.
Apparently, more casting choices revealed soon. Quote, Dumb Money is a classic David versus Goliath tale about how Wall Street was beaten at its own game, said Sony Motion Picture Group President Josh Greenstein, who I'm sure plays a lot of games at Wall Street. Quote, it's a story of our time, and the story is timeless. We are excited to be working with Craig, who is a world-class filmmaker. Dumb Money is based on Ben Mesrick's books, The Antisocial Network, and will tell the story of those who made and lost fortunes overnight during the GameStop stock market short squeeze that made headlines back last year. We even covered that on this story whenever. I don't know. We probably didn't have face cameras at the time. The unprecedented squeeze. I remember it happening. Was this happening when Doom Eternal was out? No. That was GameStop being open for the holidays and being really shitty and rebranding itself. I'm trying to remember what I was doing when this story hit. I don't remember. Anyways,
neither do I.
The unprecedented squeeze began when Redditors on r/Wall Street Bets began squeezing short sellers of GameStop's stock, with some users reporting huge wins after going all in. Quote, I had seen the subreddit in some YouTube video after I got into trading, but was only doing my own thing until this GME stuff really started to pop off, and I bought in, said one trader. Another, known as U/Deep Fucking Value, saw their option valued as high as $13 million. The film will reportedly offer an irreverent and scathing portrait of how this loosely affiliated group of hobbyist investors managed to crush one of the biggest hedge funds on Wall Street for a short while, at least. Sony reportedly purchased the movie for around $20 million, which includes the rights for North America, Latin America, okay, but a bunch of places. Quote, we've long been a fan of Craig Gillespie's work, and it's fitting that the studio that brought you The Social Network gets the anti-social network. Plus, we get to be in business once again with stellar producers Teddy Schwartzman and Aaron Ryder, added Sony Pictures head of worldwide acquisitions, Joe, I'm sorry, I don't know how to pronounce your name, Matukowicz.
Yeah, I'm not going to try.
There's a lot of syllables in there. It's thought that Sony's commitment to providing a theatrical release was a major factor in the deal being accepted. Dumb Money will be directed by Craig Gillespie, with a script by Rebecca Angelo and Lauren Sugar Blum. Aaron Ryder, Teddy Schwartzman, and Gillespie are on board as producers. This sounds fun.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to this. This is going to be a good time.
Just the one time that the internet got the comeuppance on a bunch of money grubbing fucks out there. It was nice. It was fun to watch. It was funny to happen. Like as we just continued to watch just a bunch of idiots lose a bunch of money. But man, I mean, I could have guessed it last year. Like, man, this will make a great documentary. Man, this is going to make a great movie when it happens. And sure enough, here we go. Seth Rogan, fucking Paul Dano, Sebastian Stan. Let's fucking go.
When do you think we'll expect this? When do you think this will come out? 2 years?
2024, probably.
Seems reasonable.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm assuming it's going to go for very, very heavy comedy aspect. It'd be stupid not to be. I mean, I guess that's what they're kind of referencing. So you wouldn't have Seth Rogen on there if you weren't.
Yeah, right.
So,
and as far as Pete Davidson and stuff. Yeah, I think it's going to take the piss out of a lot of people, and it's probably going to make a lot of people angry in some really fun ways.
It's easy to make fun of Redditors. So even though it's probably would be from their side, I could see them insulting them as well. Because realistically, if you were to try and make like not autobiography, a retelling of the exact things that happened leading up to it, even though it's interesting, I'm assuming it'd be kind of boring because it's not like, it's probably not super crazy things going on. It's people on Reddit separate from one another buying stocks in GameStop. I'm assuming there are going to be a lot of artistic liberties, and I'm all for it. I just want to see a funny show about something that you wouldn't expect to be made into a movie. It's obviously a great idea, but video games and movies, usually when you see those two things together, it's Sonic being made or The Last of Us having a TV show. Not about
the
Wall Street versus
so
Redditors.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. No, I'm very interested to see what this will be like, and I don't know if I'm excited for the movie, but I'm excited for the trailer. The trailer's gonna have probably some cool moments in it. I can think of a few happening just right now. So yeah, this will be interesting, and just the continue fail and flop of GameStop over the last couple of years, man, it's been insane to see this titan just slowly disintegrate. Boy, oh boy.
We'll see it send off soon enough.
What a story to tell, the next generation of podcasters and reporters and journalists. Like, yo, man, like, we had GameStop back in the day. Let me tell you about this thing called GameStop. It sucked.
Hey, I had a lot of fond memories going to GameStop.
You were 12. You were a kid in a candy store.
Memories, yes.
Yeah, but the candy store overworked its workers and didn't pay them enough.
I was a dumb little kid, and I didn't know that.
Anyways, good times. Excited to see more. And I can't wait to watch some funny stuff and just really get the piss taken out of GameStop. Moving on to our final topic of the day, and my final penny. Connor, we got some Silent Hill teases going on right here. What's going on here with some Silent Hill? What's happening? Getting off their asses. Huh?
People getting off their asses finally.
I guess. No, well, I mean, Anyway, let's just put this out. So this is a thing that broke literally, I don't know, an hour before we started recording, and it's a Silent Hill tease for October 19th, which I believe is this Wednesday. So maybe we'll talk about it more next week. Maybe we won't. Who knows? Depending on what it is. I'm almost certain that this is the Blooper Team game that has been rumored for fucking ever. And yeah, it's probably just, it's going to be the next iteration of Silent Hill. And it's, you know, as always, anytime Silent Hill gets brought up, you know, we got to talk about the Kojima game that got canceled. And we just got to be like, man, what would have that been? That would have been fucking awesome. But
yeah,
here we are.
Unfortunately, we're not getting that. Instead, we're getting it from Konami, the people who screwed it up in the first place and did a number of other bad things. So it's always
remember,
on my...
Konami runs their dev studio like a worker camp.
Yeah, and they usually make dumb decisions. So
Yep.
Yeah, this might be like a lot of people are probably excited for it because it is Silent Hill. And people have been demanding for more of it for a while. And who knows what it could actually be, whether it's a sequel or remake or whatever. We'll find out shortly, I guess. Maybe they don't have the best faith. I don't have the most faith in them to make it right, considering how they've been doing
Blooper Team,
recently.
developer of the medium, I'm sure it's going to be a quality game.
Mm-hmm. I just don't know how much Konami would have gotten their grubby little hands into it.
Yeah,
messed it up.
That's where it's annoying. But I mean, man, I'll fucking, like, as much as it fucking sucks to say, like, I'll fucking take it. Like, if this means I can get some kind of Metal Gear Solid something through this, then I'll fucking take it. But, like, god damn it, I wish I was happier about it. God damn it, I wish I was happier about it. But yeah, Silent Hill, never been a personal fan of Silent Hill myself, just haven't really, dived deep into it, though you would think I would because I love horror games, as we will talk about here soon. But yeah, I just kind of wish there was more to say about this because we can just sit here and predict and guess and stuff. So, I mean, I think quite clearly this is just the blooper game. I would be surprised to see if there was anything else, but maybe I'm wrong. We'll talk about it next week, unless it's boring, and then we won't talk about it next week.
Another pachinko game. Who knows?
Jesus Christ. Anyways, let me jump over here real quick before we hop into the what we've been playing segment, which will be my review of the Quarry. Connor, let me go ahead and ask you: have you been playing anything this week?
Unfortunately, I haven't played much. I played more Dishonored and Gundam Evolution. I've already, we were talking about Dishonored in due time. I already did my little review on Gundam, so I'm enjoying that. The only special thing that I did, which didn't go as well as I planned, was I got access to a closed beta for Warhammer 40k Darktide, the Left 4 Dead type game made by Fat Shark, kind of very similar to Vermintide, which is the last game they made that was also in the Warhammer universe that had a pretty good run. And now they're going into this new game that's rather than a melee focused one, has a diversity on melee combat and ranged combat. And unfortunately, whether it's because my PC isn't new enough or isn't good enough to play it, or if the servers were having issues, I couldn't really properly play the game. So unfortunately, I can't really say much about it, because whenever I would try to play the game, going through the missions, I would just get, lagging all over the place. I wouldn't know if I'd kill someone sometimes. My game would just freeze, and then it'd be unfreezing, and I'd be, dead or standing with my teammates further down the hallway. I wasn't able to play the game properly, which is disappointing, because I never really get access to closed betas, and the one time I did, I just couldn't play the game. So hopefully it was my computer, and if it is the game that was having stuttering issues and crashing issues, and not just my PC, I hope to get it fixed come a month when it does come out on November 30th. But I played a little bit of that, but not enough to talk about it at the moment, unfortunately.
All right. Well, in that case, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to dive deep into my review of the Quarry here. So if you're listening in the podcast, please stick around. I'm going to re-intro it all here in just a second for the breakout video. So just stick around here, and as I, plug away at some other technical aspects and such. And here we go in 5, 4, 3, 2. Shit. Nothing's working. There we go. All right. What's poppin', players? Welcome back to a 2-penny games review, this time of The Quarry. The Quarry is a game that came out much earlier this year, but I only just now made my way to it. Supermassive game, best known for things such as Until Dawn and the Man of Medan series. They have the House of Ashes stuff. I forget what their
the anthology
series,
thing.
The anthology thing that they do. So yeah, I've been playing it. I've been playing it over the last 2 weeks. You're seeing footage of Chapter 5 into Chapter 6, so middle-ish of the game. There are 10 chapters in the game. And, basically what you'll see here is enough to, it won't be the boring intro stuff, but, at this point in the game, there are enough, choices to where, you're not getting major spoilers, but, you will see things that will probably be different in your own playthrough. To cut to the chase and get to the goods right away, Connor. Also, hi, I'm your host, Tavin Bothel. This is my friend, Connor Elliott. Say hello to the people, Connor.
Hi. Did it twice.
How charismatic. How lovely. Anyways.
My throat hurts.
Connor, this is, in my opinion, Supermassive's best game, and I think this is the best version of these type of cinematic storytelling, choose-your-own-adventure styled games. I'm a big fan of The Quarry. I think it is a really, really fun, really, really good time. I think it's got one of the more layered stories of any of these. You think of Until Dawn, their last work, which was pretty good. And we have a After the Hype review of that on the channel now. You think of Heavy Rain, of Detroit Become Human. You think of the Telltale games. And I think overall the Telltale games are probably better, but, they're more bite-sized and animated and a little more quirky and so forth. I think dollars to donuts, this is probably the best version of these games. I'm quite a fan of this game. And it's, it's B-90s horror movie tropes. And I think there's pretty solid performances from the cast all around. I think all of the characters are likable in one way or the other, whereas in Until Dawn, there were characters you loved and then characters you hated. And to me, personally, it wasn't the characters that you loved to hate. It was just characters that you wish would shut the fuck up. And when they do those archetypes of, characters that are annoying or bitchy or, jackasses, douchebags, all of that, I think it works way better in this game, and I think those characters actually have charisma and are actually layered characters that you can kind of get into and play into. Now, all of the horror vibes, I'll say this game never reaches peak scary horror. It never made me jump or scream or pause the game and be like, fuck, man, I need a second. More masterclass horror games like Dead Space or Resident Evil have made me do in the past. Alien Isolation, things like that. But it's definitely creepy throughout from beginning to end. And you really do feel like you're just walking this thinnest line of these characters. And you're like, oh man, any of them could die at any bit. And if they go, that's it. Excuse me. And I'll also say, it was hard to keep these people alive. In Until Dawn, for the most part, I felt it was pretty easy. You knew, if there was a sound coming down the hallway, you knew not to go down that hallway, and you would go the other way. In this one, I very quickly fucked up, made a mistake, and killed one of my counselors hella early. And then I lost more down the line because shit got fucking tough. And for the most part, I know it was my fault. I did that. But, others I was like, man, I kind of feel like the game kind of screwed me there. Not in the sense that I didn't know what to do. It was just their work of a shooting mechanic I don't think was very good, but I'll get into that in a little bit. Overall, though, I just want to say that I think the story was interesting and layered and had enough twists and turns to keep me going all the way to the end. I think the characters were fun and lovable, and I wanted to see more from all of them and see their resolutions in each and every one of them. And I didn't necessarily get that because of choices I made and because of characters dying. There were arcs that were left incomplete because somebody died, and that sucks. But that's the nature of this type of game. Yep. I think the game looks pretty great. I think the performances were pretty solid for the most part, though some of them were a little stiff. But forgivable. And I'll leave it with this is the first one of these games that I beat, and I was immediately itching to do it again. I was immediately itching to replay the game. Will I? I don't know. I'm a busy guy, but I do want to see alternate things. I want to have a playthrough and get all the way to the end and have everybody alive. I want to have a playthrough and have everybody die as fast as possible. Like, I think this game is a lot of fun and thrilling and kept me engaged from beginning to end, and I was never having a bad time. In fact, there were multiple times while I was playing it where I was like, this is pretty good. This is a good time. I'm enjoying myself here. Are these the best games ever? No, I don't think they ever can be, just mechanically. But, as quick little rides, and especially like if they're on Game Pass or if they're available at a discounted price, I think they're absolutely worth what you need to do. Now, to get into some more nitty gritty here, the mechanics in this one have changed. If you played Until Dawn, they did use a lot of the 6-axis controller. They used, there were moments where you couldn't move, like you had to stay still. And to do that, they would use the motion controller and the PlayStation 4 controller, and like you would have to stay absolutely fucking still. That mechanic fucking sucked. I hated it. And then there was the common, things of like quick time events through button presses, and moving one of the sticks in a certain direction and so forth. All of that here has been minimized. There's it's a way more simple control scheme here, where pretty much all of the quick time events that have to do with movement while you're running or, while you're fighting or anything, pretty much are just focused on the left stick, and it's just, hey, push the stick up, push the stick down, push it left, push it right. That's really about it. Sometimes if you need to like pull something open, like pull a door open or pull something free, or if you and another character are struggling to gain control of a gun, you'll just mash X. It's X every time. And it's an easy mash thing. To have those high tense moments where you're hiding in a closet or something and you're trying not to be detected, instead of the don't move mechanic, which I think sucked in Until Dawn and got my favorite character killed back in the day. By the way, you can see that Let's Play live, or you can see that Let's Play up on the YouTube channel right now, youtube.com/2pennygamescast. The hype video where me and Phil played through Until Dawn for the first time. That's all there and up and available to watch for you guys. Here, instead of the don't move mechanic, it's just a hold your breath mechanic in which you just hold X until, and there's a clear indicator of like where the enemy is, where the thing you're hiding from is. Like it'll be like this red flash on the screen, and you just basically hold it until that flash goes away, and they give you like a little meter of your air that's decreasing. I never found you could ever fail that. Like it was never like a tight thing. You were never scared that you were going to run out of breath, I felt. Could they have increased the difficulty on that? Maybe. Could they have made it a little more challenging in some ways? Maybe, but I appreciated how simple and easy it was in comparison to the don't move mechanic from the last game. My biggest thing in terms of control is the very few times that you do have to aim and shoot a gun, I don't feel like it's clear because they do the aiming with the flashlight thing. And there were just times where I lost a counselor because I couldn't figure out where I was aiming my gun, and the timing was so tight that it just I just don't think it worked. I think it was a little clunky, and it just wasn't great. And I lost 2 counselors because of it. But overall, I thought it was a really good time. And yeah, the continued unraveling of the layers, the unraveling of the onion in this was great. Some other shortcomings is some characters kind of just exited the plot for a little while. There's literally a character who just got lost in the woods for approximately 3 hours of gameplay. And, we cut back to him and I went, oh, right, this guy. And he's just crying about how terrible of a time he's having. And I was like, that's okay, I guess.
Sounds like a wuss.
Sure. There were also times where I felt maybe characters were being a little too jovial. Maybe they were having a conversation that it was not an appropriate time to have that type of conversation. And they were just kind of, chit-chatting away in the sake of character development and getting to know these characters. But, your friend is dying, and you need to hurry back. So why are we wasting time talking? What is happening here? Like, let's get a move on.
Like this moment right here.
This specific moment wasn't as bad, but same idea. Is where like they would do stuff like this, and then things would go bad. Also, sometimes you just really had to suspend your disbelief in some areas where it might be. I think it's coming up here, but slight spoiler: a character has, if depending on how you play your cards, and this is how my cards were played out, a character loses a hand. And it's just kind of like, oh, welled. Like, they just kind of all shrug and go, oh, man, you lost your hand. That sucks. And he goes, yeah, that does suck. And then he cracks a joke and we move on. We're not worried about him bleeding out. We're not worried about, him dealing with the trauma of him losing a hand. Like, he just lost his hand. And I'm like, oh, okay, cool, whatever.
It makes too light of it.
Yeah, it's just that, we just kind of like sweep that bit under the rug. And, there's a couple of other things like that happen. I also think that sometimes it feels like they make a effort to let the player know by the end of the game, exactly what you're dealing with. Like, there are monsters hunting you. You know exactly how many monsters there are and where they are at some point. Except sometimes it feels, I think back and I look back and I go, but what about that time near the end where we trapped one of those monsters? Did it just end up getting free and chasing us later, or is it still trapped? What happened to that one? I don't know. Hard to tell. I think I'm just or was it even one of the 4 or 5 monsters, or was it just one that they threw in for tension and stakes in that scene? I don't know. It's hard to tell. I think for the most part, a lot of it can be hand waved off, but it's just a thing. It's a water cooler moment of going back and thinking and going, wait a minute, what about that? And I'll say, for the most part, I think they tie up their story very well. I don't think there's a lot of loose threads in this story. I thought the ending was a little underwhelming for me personally, how it was just kind of climax and then no falling action at all. It was just credits, which is probably because some of my characters died. And to get the epilogue, to get that falling action, you probably need everybody to survive. Which I don't know how to feel about that personally, because it kind of sucks, because like my story didn't get a super great conclusion. It had one, which is better than some people that I'm hearing online, where at some point, like if certain characters aren't alive, the story just ends and you don't get explanations for things. Or if you don't find, there are tarot cards scattered throughout the world that you can pick up, and these are used. Remember in Until Dawn, you would like pick up a totem and it would like show you the future of a potential thing that could happen. They have a similar mechanic here. One of those tarot cards is crucial to the plot, and if you don't find it, there are things left unknown. I guess you could kind of piece it together through scraps of paper and what other characters are telling you. You could piece it together. But there's one where it's straight up like, okay, we're going into a flashback and we're playing as a character that is critical to the plot to get this backstory flushed out. And I just feel like if you miss that, that's really huge. But at the same time, I think a big thing about these games is replay value. The thing holding Until Dawn back as a great game in my head is the fact that I got to the end and didn't want to play it again. I was like, yeah, no, I'm cool on that experience. I don't need that again. This one, I got to the end and I was like, I wouldn't mind playing that again. I had a really good time playing that, and I would mind doing that again. So I think that's a big positive for this game, is that I want to replay it. I think it's worth the money for it. And, we're nearing the end. We're, middle of October here. We're getting close to Halloween. I think if you're looking just for a spooky game to just kind of set the mood, and I think this is a great candidate. And I think this is honestly one of the year's better games. But, it's far from the best game, just by my personal tastes and all that. But I had an absolute blast with the Quarry. I think it's Supermassive's best game, and it continues to excite me of what this studio does next. I think their Man of Medan series, whatever that's called, was a bit of a stumbling through for them. Some of those games people didn't like. It seems like the last game or two people did enjoy, but I think this one is absolutely by far their best game, and I'm excited to see more from them. trying to remember what else I wanted to speak on in this game, because there was a lot that I wanted to talk about. The menus I thought were pretty good. There's a if you fuck up and kill a counselor, there's a rewind mechanic, but I was never tutorialized on that. So I don't know if there's like a difficulty setting that I locked myself out of when I started my game or something, because I never saw that option as something to do, and I really wish I did. But yeah, it was a good time, and I fully recommend the Quarry. For anyone looking for some spooky games to play this season, or if you're just looking for a nice cinematic game. My final clock ran at like 18 hours. I don't think that's accurate. I don't think the timer stops when you pause the game. I'm gonna guess closer to probably 14, 15, somewhere around there. And then of course, your mileage may vary depending on how many counselors are alive at the end. You could lose a solid 2 hours of content if certain people aren't alive at the end.
Yeah. So I just need to bring it into my mind. Out of all the characters we've seen so far, how many of them died? Those 3 at the beginning and these 2? Any survivors amongst them even?
3.
3 died.
Of the ones you've seen in this footage, 3 have died.
Interesting.
Or 3 of them died in my playthrough. Yeah. And I mean, I'll say like I got my favorite character to the end, which I appreciated.
Mm-hmm. Who was that
by? It's someone not in this footage. It's yeah, and I don't want to spoil it. But yeah, sure. I think there's a lot of badass moments in this game. I think there's a really well crafted universe in this game, and yeah, I think it's absolutely worth everybody's time, and you should absolutely fucking play it.
It does look very nice.
Yeah. Connor, you don't have a lot of playtime in these types of games. No. You played Detroit Become Human alongside me, and you had a really good time with that. Does this one do anything for you?
Yeah, I can see myself playing this. I don't know if I end up just because there's so many games I'm trying to play. But this
Deus Ex, huh?
Deus Ex, yes. I got to eat those soy packets. I actually haven't touched that in a bit, but
yeah,
this looks good. Maybe was there difficulties on it? To me, it seemed like
not to my memory. No, not to my memory. There was no difficulties. No, it was just good. There is co-op modes to where you can pass the controller back and forth, and I do believe there's a mode to where you can like kind of multiplayer play it, in which you pass the controller virtually to each other, and then there's just a movie mode where you can just watch you can just watch it like a movie.
Okay.
All of that's cool. I'm sure there's like a core tenement where like certain characters don't make it to the end, but the ones to get the full story do. So yeah, and I do know that there is a lot of variety between all the different paths and so forth that you can take. Ooh, spicy things are about to happen. So I'm gonna wrap this up before any type of spoilers happen. But yeah, ladies and gentlemen, to put a bow on it, the Quarry is a great game, and you should go and play it. It's just another one where I'm like, awesome, another 7 out of 10. What a great 7 out of 10 year. Like there was nothing really trash, but there's nothing really like blowing my hair back. It's just a lot of like, man, this was a good game and I had a good time.
Good. Yeah, it does look fun.
It does.
I can see this being enjoying.
Oh yeah, it's a lot of fun. And I'll say, because Connor, I know you get really annoyed at really annoying characters. I do want to say I liked everybody, even the one that like died right in the beginning. I was like, man, this character is annoying, but I kind of like her anyway. Spoilers, it was a female. And then, she died and I went, fuck, I killed her. God damn it. I wanted to see how that ended.
Maybe I can play this game and do better than you.
Maybe you can, Connor. Maybe you can. And then I watched, I'm a big fan of the Kind of Funny guys. I watched their spoiler cast, and some of them did better than me. Some of them had a fucking bloodbath. It was just like, I think by the end I had lost probably about, because fun fact, playable characters aren't the only ones that count towards characters who survive. Yeah, there's some characters you are in charge of whether they live or die, that you don't play as, which is really cool and really interesting. Yeah. And they're even kind of like quasi-antagonists. I know, just a little hints of thing. So if you include all of those characters, by the end of the game, half the cast was dead. but most of my counselors had survived. I think I only lost like 3 counselors.
Pretty impressive.
I think so. But yeah, the Quarry, everybody go out, play it if you have any interest at all. I know this review's like hella late, but it was a really fun game to play, and I really, really enjoyed it. And yeah, Connor, I know Phil's playing it in the background with his girlfriend right now, and Connor, if you hop on, maybe we can do like a little late time spoiler cast. Probably not, but who knows?
Yeah, right.
Anyways, ladies and gentlemen, that is going to be it for your Two Penny Gamescast, episode 117. Thank you so much for watching and listening. Remember, you can get this podcast every Monday, 8 a.m. Central Time, youtube.com/2pennygamescast, and mainstream podcast services of your choice. And keep an eye out for lots of videos that are hitting the internet this week. Of course, the Quarry review, which you are watching right now, posted Sunday night. The podcast went up Monday morning. And then Tuesday, we've got another installment of the Kingdom Hearts 2 hype. Have you ever played? It was my first time playing through Kingdom Hearts 2. Part 2 of that is going up on Tuesday. And then Wednesday and Friday, I'm going to start doing breakout videos of the heavier news or the bigger news stories that we recorded on the podcast. So Wednesday and Friday, if you don't have time for the full thing, you can just get little nuggets of information like that. And then, keep an eye out for TikToks. Follow us on TikTok, 2 Penny Games, and YouTube shorts that go up whenever I can get them out. But until next time, have a great time. And Connor, say goodbye to the people.
Goodbye.